Hi, Stamping Friends. It's Sherry Parker coming to you live on Tuesday, June 30th, the last day of June. Hope you're having a great start to your summer. July starts tomorrow, which I want to mention a lot of really cool things are going to be happening with Stampin' Up! Tomorrow. A new product of the month, as well as some other new kits and online exclusives. So you're going to want to check it out. My website is sherrythomas.stampinup.net. So thank you for joining me tonight. Before I get started on tonight's project, I wanted to mention a July card challenge that I'm having. I did this last July as well. It's called Let's Eradicate Loneliness, and it's just a way to spread kindness during the month of July. Why not brighten someone's day? It can be anyone, could be a stranger even, maybe your UPS driver or your mailman or something, but just to spread kindness. And so the challenge is, you send 3 cards a week for the 5 weeks in July, so 15 total cards. You track it yourself. No one is gauging what you're mailing. I have a Facebook group established, so anyone who wants to be part of it and just see the excitement and fun ideas and everything like that, please let me know. So just sign up, just message me, text me, email me, and I will add you to the list. At the end of July, I will draw 3 names to win a free stamp set of your choice. So I know you're not doing it for that, but it's just an extra fun incentive. And I really hope you'll think about doing it. It's something you can do super easily. A lot of us have cards lying around. Why not send them and brighten someone's day? All right, so with that, I'm gonna turn my camera over and we're gonna get started on tonight's project. All right, one of the new products that we have in our catalog this year is an impressions plate. And I know sometimes it can be a little confusing, like how do I do that? I don't really know. So I thought I would break it down and make it really easy tonight and show you just how easy it is to use actually. So tonight we'll be using, from this catalog on page 36, the Opulent Oasis bundle right here. So it's a stamp set and dies. And then this impressions plate, which the product itself is shown on page 74, but you can kind of get a sneak peek of how it's used on page 36 here. So that's what we'll be using product-wise. Here's a closer up look at the bundle. We got beautiful stamp set and die cut set. And then I picked this Fern and Flora die because we'll be using that for the greeting. So just thought I would let you know everything that we're using. This is the card that we're making. This happens to be one of the cards that my In Color Club will be making on Thursday. But it does feature this impressions plate, and I wanted to walk you through how to use it. It's very simple to use, and hopefully you'll feel confident and maybe try it yourself. So, and remember, anyone who comments on or shares my videos, your name is automatically entered in to win the projects that I make each week. So at the end of this video, we will draw for last week's project. All right, I'm gonna set that aside and just kind of show you the different steps for using this impressions plate. So, and we're gonna do it. So step 1 is you're gonna die cut, okay? And this is the die here from the Opulent Oasis bundle, okay? You're gonna run it through like just a regular die, okay? And you'll use the regular plates. And I've outlined here which plates to use. I will post this after my demonstration so that you have a reference because I think it helps to break it down. Then what you're gonna do is run it through again in this die, and you're gonna use plates 1 and 2, the impressions plate, and then plate 4. And it'll end up looking, this might be easier to tell, this is a piece of our crisp cantaloupe. It'll have this really nice impression on it. So for white, if you use white, you may wanna color it in like I did here with the blending brushes. So very simple to do, really just 2 or 3 steps depending on if you color it or not. And we'll get started and I'll show you. I put my camera up a little bit just so you could have a better view of what I'm doing here. But I have a piece of white cardstock and this Opulent Oasis die. And just to show you the plates that I'm using, we're gonna use plate 1, plate 2, and then the 2 plate 3s. Okay, so this is just like a normal die cut. So we will go ahead and we will put our top plate on and then run it through our die cut machine. All right. Sorry if the table's shaking a little bit. I'll take those out and then I will show you we're left with this shape here. So that was the first shape that I showed you. It's just a die cut. All right. So next, this is the part that the magic happens. So you can see on the other side of this die, there's some really intricate detail in there. So what you'll do is you'll place the piece you just cut out back onto your die. And if you want, you can use washi tape or something to hold it in place. This time you're going to use plates 1 and 2. And then you're going to put your die face up, okay? You'll put your impressions plate, which is silicone, so it'll bend. Whoops, and I jiggled that in the process. So that's why washi tape might not be a terrible idea. But we will just place that over top, and then finally plate 4, which will hold everything in place. And one thing just to point out, you'll see that the black of the silicone will start to kind of creep out, and that's totally normal. It's a pliable plate, so that is to be expected. So when we pull this off, you will see the impression there. So isn't that really cool with all the detail? So you could leave it like this, or you could blend it, which we will be doing tonight. Another trick that we learned when I was at my onstage event is if you want even a deeper impression, before you run it through the second time, you can spritz your paper lightly with water, just a little spritz, and it will actually give it a little bit deeper impression. I didn't do that this time, but just wanted to point that out. Okay, so now we've got our impressions piece. I'm gonna put my camera down just a little bit since we don't have the die cut machine, and I want you to be able to see okay. And we'll go to the card that we're making, which is this one right here. The other supplies that you're gonna need are a half sheet of cardstock. So this is our beautiful Barely Blush color. And I've got a 1/4 sheet here of the gingham in color paper. This is so pretty. I love both sides of this a lot. And I also pre-cut the greeting from the fern die cuts, like I told you. And then I've got just a piece of white cardstock here. I'm going to stamp my big flower with our Barely Blush. And then we're gonna just stamp it onto a piece of white and then cut it out with the coordinating die cut from that Opulent Oasis. So, through the magic of TV, I have it ready to go. And now we can build our card. And it's actually a very, very simple card. So, what I'm gonna do is first color in this piece with my blending brushes. And I've got the Barely Blush and also soft seafoam. And I'm going to tap those in my ink pad. And one trick I learned recently is you can actually tap off onto one of your blocks, and it really does, it preserves the ink on there so you can reuse it, versus if you place it onto paper when you tap off and then it dries. So it's a way to get a little bit more mileage out of your ink. That was a fun little tip I heard recently. And the reason you want to tap off is so that you don't have big blobs of color. You want to gradually apply color with the blending brushes because you want to go light to dark. And I think I've done all the little flowers around there. You could also do your main flower. We're, for this card, going to be covering it up, so you wouldn't necessarily have to do that, but you could just blend it and then use that versus covering it up. Then similarly, I will take my soft seafoam here and do the same thing. And we'll apply some color onto the embossed areas, and you can see them pop. That's what I really love about these impression plates. It's just, it gives such a nice texture to your cards or your scrapbook pages, whatever you're creating. So, all right. So we've applied color to that piece there, and you've got a nice background for your card base. Next, I'm going to actually adhere this shape that we stamped, and we're going to place over top. And again, you wouldn't have to, you could use that, but I did go ahead and I stamped one of these and cut it out, so we're going to use it. All right, let's see. Now the tricky part is, can I figure out which direction? I think it goes like that. And one thing I like to do is just to kind of curl the edges up, give it some texture. And then I'm going to actually use my shimmer brush, and these come in all the new in colors. So this is Barely Blush, and because this is a really light color, I think this would give it a little added dimension, plus a little shimmer, which who doesn't like a little shimmer? So I don't know if you can see in that, the little shimmers. It'll dry lighter, so not to worry. It'll be very subtle. And then last, I'm going to take some of my gems, the in color little gems here, and I'm going to place a few of those in the center of my card. And now we're ready to assemble the card. We have the focal point all ready to go. So now we will put the card together. And I've also got a little piece of this, the Barely Blush ribbon. So we're going to tie it all together. I'm going to use some adhesive here and then wrap a piece of ribbon kind of around off-centered here, just to give it a nice little 3D touch. And then we'll place it on our card front like that. Whoops. A little bit off-centered there, like that. And then last, we'll kind of place this over top with some more dimensionals, which I love to use Stampin' Dimensionals. We'll put a few of them because this is a pretty big piece here. All right. So let's place this on top like that. And then our last touch will be the greeting. Hello, friend. And there it is. I was wondering where that went. I'm going to stamp this in Basic Gray. It's a nice color that's not quite as dark as black, but it'll be really good for our greeting. And then we'll place it on the front of the card. And then you're done, just like that. Super quick. And I'm going to tuck this behind so we can see our beautiful flower. And there you go. What do you think? So I did two. I used both sides of that gingham paper, the really narrow and then the bigger check. So which one do you like? Don't forget, if you comment on or share tonight's video, your name will be entered in to win this week's card. All right, now we will draw for last week's card. So if you tuned in last week, I showed you the thumping technique. It's a fun way to ink up your stamp so you get a multicolored image. And this is a fun fold. And all the people that commented on and shared, your names are in here. And I am going to draw the winner from last week. And last week's winner will be Sandy Benson. So Sandy, I will send you this card. Congratulations. And of course, as always, thank you so much for commenting on and sharing and just being part of my Facebook Lives. I really appreciate you, even if you watch it later. And I also upload these on YouTube, so if you don't catch them on Facebook, maybe you can catch them there. All right, that's it for tonight. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Thank you for joining me a night early if you did, or watching later. I do appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful holiday weekend. Take care. Good night.